Hey guys, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with another video. I thought I'd do a video about the top 10 classic rock albums that I think are essentials. Now, preface for this video, this is my opinion. So, don't go up on here asking me why I didn't put any AC/DC on the list. This is my opinion of what is the most essential classic rock albums. So, I had a few little ground rules. First of all, was not doing anything after 1975. You know, the 80s classic rock, when you get into that, that's kind of, you know, Van Halen and Motley Crue and all that stuff. I do consider that classic rock, but I'm talking about the essential roots classic rock breakout type stuff. So this is from 1966, 67 till 75 is where I see the peak classic rock years. In my opinion, probably gonna say that a million times in this video, my opinion. Also, this is all mainstream stuff. Mostly everything on this list is stuff you probably heard on the radio, but it's still really good, solid albums, even though they're mainstream. So this is my opinion on best and most essential and important and influential classic rock albums. After I do the top 10, there will be honorable mentions at the end also, so stay tuned for that. Also, a lot of these are, you know, my favorite albums. I try to get really good sounding copies and cool, unique copies and stuff like that. So most of these albums are a little bit weird because they're just, that's the copy I have. It's just this interesting copies. Like number 10 here, it's a Japanese pressing of The Doors, self-titled, 1967. This is a phenomenal record. It was, at the time, really influential. It really shook up the world of popular rock. I mean, you know, before this, there wasn't a whole lot of yelling and screaming, and you know, Jim Morrison kind of brought that wild side to the mainstream radio. So, you know, you guys all know the story about how he got in trouble on Ed Sullivan's show. But this was just a really good breakout for psychedelic rock to kind of get it famous. And Elektra made so much money from this record, they signed like 1,000 other psych projects, which really kind of prolonged and gave a good jumpstart for psychedelic music in the late 1960s, early 1970s. So this is an album that a lot of people are influenced by. A lot of people really revere as one of the greatest. But Jim Morrison definitely had that, you know, that charisma that really moved people. So, but also just as a kid, I love this album. And I love The Doors, but this is the one I would pick as their best and probably most influential. Number 9 is King Crimson and the Court of the Crimson King. This is a original master recording copy of this. This album was not higher on the list just because a lot of people don't know about it. So this is the only one on the list that I would say you might not have ever heard on the radio. You know, when I was a kid, I remember seeing this album cover around, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't have the album. But when I did get it, I finally got it. It just completely blew my mind. But this was an album that really brought forward some of the really weird and crazy prog. You know, this is one that's a little out of a lot of people's wheelhouse, but also just the proficiency of the instrumentation and this is an amazing record. But this is one of my absolute favorite albums, and I could not put it in the top 10. So, Court of the Crimson King, 1969. If you haven't heard this album, it's amazing. You should check it out. Number 8 is David Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. This is just what to say about this album. This is an original master recording, but David Bowie really was highly influential, like all these albums, but just even more so like in the punk scene. He influenced a lot of people just in a completely different direction. You know, you got a lot of these American blues to the core, like, you know, rock and roll blues type classic rock. But David Bowie was a lot different. He had his own unique style. It was very influential to, you know, new wave and punk and stuff for years and years to come. But also, this is just a really solid album. This is one I could listen to over and over again. But just really strong songs in this album. I feel like, you know, this is one that David Bowie really started to, I mean, he invented this persona of Ziggy Stardust and really made this just an amazing album and kind of took shape in that certain season of his career in that way, and was just, I think it was just a stunning album, phenomenal, definitely seminal, amazing album. So that's number 8. Number 7, Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed, 1969. This is just an original U.S. copy with the poster and everything. This is a just phenomenal Stones album. It was really hard for me. It was important for me to get the Stones in the top 10. I'm not a huge Stones guy. You know, a lot of people are crazy about the Stones. That's not me. I do like the Stones. But you know, I'm more of a, you know, Zeppelin guy. But Stones, amazing. They had some amazing albums leading up to this and amazing albums coming out of this. But this is where I feel like they really took a turning point. You know, they had Beggar's Banquet before this. That was a strong album for them. It was a really good album. But this one is iconic. And it's the first album I feel like that they did. They kind of started developing their own sound. They came out of this, did Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street. Just some amazing albums to follow this. But I feel like they were really, really getting their stride as their own sound. You know, the early Stone stuff is very similar to a lot of stuff in the era, like the Beatles and stuff like that. They kind of did that early, you know, British beat garage type stuff, you know, that was pretty common and unoriginal for the most part. But this album, I feel like, and Beggar's Banquet, but mainly this album, they kind of broke out of that and really started hitting their stride and getting their own sound. And it's just an incredibly strong album. I love Let It Bleed, Stones. Number 6, American Beauty, 1970, Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead, say what you will. It's the type of band you either love them or you hate them. I love Grateful Dead. And they did a lot of really good live. They're known for their live shows. Had some, and I don't have any live albums in this because this is about the music itself and the studio records. This is just an extremely incredible studio record. You know, Jerry Garcia, Bob Weir, just some incredible musicians. But, I mean, Garcia just was such a versatile, phenomenal musician. Like, not only on guitar, but several other instruments, especially banjo. But he was just incredible. But this album really, they wrote some amazing songs on this record. This record is just full of just really good, solid songs. You know, before this, they had a few records that were great records, and I absolutely love them. But this is one that I feel like a lot of the songs were very identifiable and lovable to people. So a lot of these songs, some of them you heard on the radio and stuff like that. This is, I would say, the most common Grateful Dead album. But this is just through and through, start to finish, incredible record. And in that space, it's just... It's amazing. It's a classic. It's one I grew up on, and I love it. So, American Beauty, number 6. Number 5, hitting the top 5. Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland. Now, a lot of people will say Axis is his best. A lot of people will say Are You Experienced is his best. Who's to say what's his best? It's all so good. And it's a close tie between all of them. But this Electric Ladyland was just one that I fell in love with, mainly because of, you know, I heard Voodoo Child Slight Return on the radio, and that wah-wah pedal was just so good, and the melodic solos were so good. But then when I finally found the record, I found it at Goodwill when I was like 13, and put on Voodoo Child, and was shocked to find out that it wasn't what I thought it was, because I didn't put on Slight Return, I put on the other Voodoo Child, which became one of my favorite tracks ever. But this is just a amazing double album, start to finish, incredible, iconic artwork, all that stuff. But Hendrix was just a beast, and all his stuff was amazing. But this is the one that's my favorite out of his, you know, top 3. But I mean, Band of Gypsies is good. A lot of the, you know, post-death stuff is really good. But this is my favorite of his. Just really influenced me when I was young and playing guitar. Incredible record, Electric Ladyland. All right, number 4. You guys are going to be mad at me that this isn't higher up, but this is number 4. The Beatles, Abbey Road. This is the 3 LP anniversary box set that just came out. It's actually, I've actually not even opened this. So the reason why I have this copy of Abbey Road, and then I have the Beatles Mo-Fi box set copy of Abbey Road. So this was the only one that had artwork, because that one doesn't actually have artwork. So that's why I'm showing this one. But Abbey Road to me is, I'm not going to say it's the best Beatles album. I'm not going to say it's not. I think the best Beatles album is probably White Album, but this is my favorite. This is one of those, most people know it from beginning to end. I know it note by note, word for word. Just, it was something that I grew up listening to it. I grew up listening to it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. I mean, I always had this going, and it was just, it was more than music to me. It's just like I just felt it, man. It was just, it's one of those things, but a lot of people feel that way a lot about Abbey Road. A lot of people love this album. It's just one of those, I don't know that I could think of a more iconic album cover than Abbey Road. I mean, this is, but it being iconic is not the thing for me. The thing for me is that it's such a phenomenal record. So well written, and the Beatles had a lot, I mean, Beatles had a lot of good records, you know. But that's the one for me that's just, it's got such a strong, there's not a track I would skip, just, you know what I mean, strong album. Getting into the top 3. This is just my opinion, you guys. Number 3, Black Sabbath, Paranoid. This is an original UK Vertigo. Beautiful, beautiful copy of a beautiful record. But, you know, Black Sabbath, it was hard for me to pick out of their first 4, which one I would pick as the best. And I'm just picking this one because I think that it's regarded as their strongest one, you know. But yeah, Black Sabbath, they had such an influence in early metal and doom and sludge and all that stuff. Like, there would be like none of that metal in the 80s without Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath was, I mean, there's a lot of bands doing what Black Sabbath was doing in that time. But Black Sabbath, their songs were really strong. I would say they were among the best. They were solid. They had a solid group of guys. A lot of those bands, they did not have the stamina to keep going. They would hit one really good album and they'd break up. But Black Sabbath stayed together, and they were marketable. They were good. Just solid. Ozzy, you know. So can't say enough good things about Black Sabbath. This album and all their first 4 completely changed the world as far as influence in their own vein, you know, that metal influence. I mean, this is everyone loves this record, I feel like, that likes classic rock. So Black Sabbath, Paranoid, I love the album. This is another one, might be a shocker for you guys, number 2. Just my opinion, y'all. Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd. Now, I love Dark Side of the Moon. And I did look at a few of the, you know, the lists online for top best albums. And Dark Side of the Moon was number 1 on almost all of them. I love Dark Side of the Moon. It's an incredible record, don't get me wrong. But Wish You Were Here, I think, is better. In my opinion, Wish You Were Here is better. I love Wish You Were Here. It's just a stronger record, in my opinion. Pink Floyd's one of my absolute favorite bands. If you name the top, everybody's top 5 or top 3 classic rock bands, Pink Floyd's going to be in most of them. Just an incredible band from start to finish. Their early stuff with Syd Barrett's amazing. I even like their late stuff with David Gilmour. I love every Pink Floyd album, but I do believe that this is probably my favorite. If we're talking classic rock, Pink Floyd, this one, you cannot go wrong. Wish You Were Here, amazing. You know, I could have picked The Wall, could have picked Dark Side of the Moon, both amazing, and I love them both. It's just kind of hard. Number 1, you guys probably know what number 1's going to be for me. That's Led Zeppelin too. Led Zeppelin's my favorite band, so, you know. But I was trying, it was hard to pick which Zeppelin album. Their first album came out. There was a lot of hot debate on a lot of the tracks being stolen or whatever. We're not going to get into all that. But then they followed up with this just smoker of an album. This is just, when you talk about classic rock, there's some classic numbers on this song. And it's another one, strong start to finish. Incredible record, hard-hitting. Just, it shook the world. I mean, they followed up their first being such a killer album with their second being even better, in my opinion. But this, as far as classic rock albums go, is my favorite. And I think the best. I do have some honorable mentions. I couldn't live with myself without mentioning some of these amazing records that almost made the top 10, but not quite. I'll zip through them really quick. Neil Young, Harvest. I love Neil Young. I love everything he did. I also almost put in Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Deja Vu. Love that album. Neil Young, Harvest is amazing. Yes, Fragile. This is the Ultra Disc one-step box. Yeah, Yes, Fragile is just incredible classic rock. One of my favorites. I don't know if I'd consider this. This is Velvet Underground and Nico. I don't know if I'd consider it classic rock. That's the thing. It's art rock. It's weird rock. It's a little bit too weird to be on the list, but Velvet Underground and Nico, one of the most influential albums, if not the most influential rock album ever. You know, there's a quote that says the first run of these albums sold 30,000 copies, and everybody who bought one started a band. I can't remember who said that, but yeah, this is an incredible record, very influential. Cream is Disraeli Gears. This is an original UK on Reaction. Cream's amazing. I had to throw him in there. I wanted to throw him in there, so honorable mention to Cream. I almost picked this to be on the list, Physical Graffiti, but I didn't know that it encapsulated the classic rock that I wanted to put on the list. I do believe this is a stronger album than Zeppelin 2, but I didn't put it on. But this is up there with my favorites. So it's hard to not mention that album. The band music from Big Pink, a lot of great songs on this. An amazing album. Love it to death. Great stuff. Santana, Abraxas, one of these albums that just brought in so many different elements from so many different genres of music. Had to throw this one in honorable mentions. It's just an incredible record, and I almost want to cry every time I hear it. It's so good. Almond Brothers, Eat a Peach. The only reason I didn't put an Almond Brothers album in there is because I do think that they were a better live band than they were studio, but all their studio albums are really good too. This is my favorite of theirs, but Almond Brothers just, it was hard. It was really hard for me not to put this in the top 10. This one would be number 11 in my opinion. And you know, Cosmo's Factory CCR. Talk about a band that, you know, you turn on classic rock radio, you hear them all the time, but they're just so good. It's just, you throw this album on and it's just like, man, this is just, it feels good. And last but not least, Rush Moving Pictures. Tom Sawyer. Crank up your stereo and listen to that pan. It's just amazing stuff. But, you know, super strong classic rock band, Rush. Could not throw them in there. Thank y'all for watching this video. I appreciate it. I hope you understand this was just my opinion. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos. And keep up. I have a record store in North Carolina. Keep up with us. We post a lot of awesome stuff on Instagram that we get in the shop and stuff about records. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, check that out. Thanks for hanging with me. We'll see y'all next time.